Hello again, everybody. Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Thursday night, the 3rd of November. And these are the charts of the day. Well, Wall Street's under pressure, to say the least. 8 days in a row down for the S&P, the first time since 2008, and that was the second time in 20 years. So it's not often we see the market go down 8 days in a row. And with the elections coming up Tuesday, who knows if we can make it 11 before, or at least 10 days in a row on Friday and Monday before we get the elections over and done with. Well, we'll see. But the bottom line is we're getting oversold. Now let's take a quick look at, before I look at these charts, I want to show you the oscillators. If you look at the T2106, which is the McClellan oscillator, although it did get up to minus 77 at one point, and it got as low as 133.89 and closed at minus, let's call it 128. Net on the day was actually up on the day because it was down yesterday dramatically. But there's a level in here that is extremely oversold going all the way back to January. Now we did get deeper oversold conditions down in that minus 220, 40, 50 range. And we've even had some steeper than that over the course of the years. I don't know if we get there, but let's look at a weekly chart, I'll show you. You can see that back here in 2010 and 11, and this isn't even 2007 and 8, we got to minus 467 here and 480 there. So the market, when it comes down, can come down much deeper than where it is now. Normally though, when you get down towards the 250, 300 range, it becomes extremely overbought. For now though, we'll watch this one. The other indicator I like to watch, telling me how oversold we are, is the percentage of stocks above the 40-day moving average. That has dropped from July's high, over 80, to the low yesterday at 20. So we've 3/4 of the stocks that were, let's put it this way, 80% of the stocks were above the 40 back in July. Now it's only 22. Now, normally this is a range that we've seen create market conditions enough to rally them back. It's actually at a new 8 month low here. So there's several things that are telling us the market's getting oversold and getting quite oversold, but we could get 1 or 2 spike down days like there or there that takes us sharply into that 10, 12, 14 range before this market actually bottoms. So let's take a look at the indices for starters. You can see the declining channel. This is only 2 days here, and this is the NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500. But I think more dramatically, when you look at this, you'll see the kind of drop we've had on the NASDAQ 100 from 49.12 to 46.72. A massive 240 point drop. So, about a very, very fast 5%. You don't even see that too often in the market. So for now, what I'm looking for is, since the low in September was down in this range here, a little bit below here, let's call it there, we could very well open lower and then reverse this market. I don't necessarily think we're going to go down for 10, 12 days in a row. I think it's 8 days in a row could create some sort of snapback action, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that tomorrow morning. That's the NDX. Let's take a look at the S&P. You can see quite the drop. Now looking at the longer term picture, you'll see this is in a big declining channel. But the bottom of the channel, and if you take a look at it this way, you'll see that it's been in that channel for quite a few weeks, since August. We're at the bottom of it right here, right now. Let's move back to the charts. And so I'm looking for a rally back to at least the 2105, 2115 zone before we get lower levels, if we get lower levels. Some of the longs that are interesting to me are Avis Budget Rent-A-Car. They really popped today. This thing went up 414 or almost 13% on 5.7 million. And it broke out above the 50, above lateral resistance, and may very well test upwards of 39. That's my near-term target, followed by 45. And there is 5.7 days to cover. So there are some stocks still acting well in this market. I want to point out the CBDS. Now the cannabis stocks, because of the elections, may do very well, particularly if there's voted positively, but it may be selling the news. Now, I don't know how far it gets. There's resistance in the 911 zone. That could be my next target on this. Look at the wedge on it. Look at the low volume ebb. Today it picked up a little bit. If we can get this above, say, the 714 range short term, this could run, and I mean run like the wind, like it did there, taking this all the way up into the even low teens. That would be a sell in my opinion up there, since these These are not obviously major companies with large revenue, etc. DGAZ, well, how about this DGAZ? After the major declining channel was broken, this stock went right up to resistance, pulled back from that resistance, reversed sharply 3 days ago, and you can see it's moved up 4 days in a row again after moving up for a 6-day period there with a couple of days pullback. Solid volume, over 100 million shares have traded just about every day. Now, the resistance on the chart is about 8 3/4. If you get that spike tomorrow, that will be probably an exit point for me because it's a little bit too far too fast. But it's looking pretty good. Ultra short oil, well, the DWTI has been a monster, and take a look at this move. Yep. 52 to 83. 31 points in a couple weeks. Pretty big move. But the major declining top line was broken. All 3 moving averages have been taken out. They're now rolling over. So the next pullback could be a really interesting longer-term opportunity. But the short-term resistance says 87 or thereabout, could be 87, 88, maybe even mid-90s. But I would be a seller into that move for a pullback. EGRX, one of the few biotechs really acting well. This one had an engulfing day. It was up 3 on a session, 6 points off the low, up 4.4% with solid volume. There's resistance right across here. If it gets through this, your next target is about 78. And then I'm looking at 88. Keep an eye on this one with 10.7 days to cover. EGRX is on a mission, it looks like. HDSN had great earnings today and snapped right back. You can see that the recent falling wedge that it was in held support right near there, creating a large falling wedge and exploding out of it with a breakaway gap and a pickup on volume. It traded $1.1 million today. It's the kind of stock that has the gumption, I think, or energy to make this up towards 7.5 3/4, eventually 9-10 zone. But for now, let's keep an eye on this stock. It's acting great. Now the gold stocks. JNUG, right up against resistance yesterday, reversed. Let's take out some noise here. It appears, and I'm not surprised, that it pulled back off of the gap, not far from the double bottom. So the reversal shouldn't be a surprise to anybody since there's a key resistance in here. Not to mention the declining top line and 50-day moving average. But if it can stall here and not take out, say, 1235 in the next day or so, and move up, we should see a test of 16. On the nugget side, similar pattern, of course, 1, 2, 3 waves. This could be wave 4. We're just going to have to see whether or not it's going to have the ability to break through that level, which is key. Declining tops line, 50-day moving average, lateral resistance, gap, etc. So no surprise that it reversed, but I'd love to see this hold 14, and that would be my stop if you're in this, because it would be very vulnerable for lower levels and a 5th wave down. It could ultimately take this down to 7.5, 8.5 zone. I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying if gold has a mega drop down here in the 5th wave, that could occur. Going back in here, you can see that's the resistance zone back in there. So, remains to be seen what this is going to do, but today was a good day. That was up 91 cents, and the JNUG was up 98 cents. MSCC could be in play. It exploded today on takeover talks. I'm not sure how far this goes, but I did want to show you the long-term chart. Here's your weekly at the top of the channel. So maybe it's a sell the news thing, but that is a big breakaway gap. This very well might extend this move and get up into the 60-65 range, particularly on a takeover. But for now, just keep an eye on it. There is 9 days to cover on that one. Well, Pegasystems with a nice 13% pop, or 380, and closed about a point, 90 cents off the high, but damn well near the top of the channel, or top of the range anyway. And you can see that this is multi-year all-time highs. Never been reached before. So when you have a stock doing that in this kind of a market, you want to pay attention. This could very well be a $38 stock short term. Another example of one of the gold stocks that are acting well, my favorite, Royal Gold. Look at this spike up and through the 50-day moving average, which to me says the possibility that some gold stocks have turned around, and the volume was huge at nearly 12 million shares. SQ with a good earnings report. After popping yesterday, it followed through today. I'm liking the way this looks. I'm liking the rising channel. To me, my goal is 15, 16 up here eventually, but we got to get through the 12.5 level, which is your current near-term resistance. 6.5 days to cover on that one. How about that UVXY? 8 days in a row up. With the market down 8 days in a row, S&P down 8 days in a row, this is up 8 days in a row. It took out several things today. The declining tops line, the lateral price resistance. In the last couple of days, the 50-day. It's the first time it's closed dramatically above the 50-day moving average since way up in here. And even then it reversed. So pay attention, because the UVXY target for tomorrow is 21.75, and if it blows, I'm looking at 25, 25 and a half. It could spike up there, but I would certainly be a seller into that. I think the market's overdone to the downside or getting close to it, and the UVXY might very well spike up and into a short-term top and roll back. XPL Logistics doing great. It popped beautifully today. It didn't close great. About $1.40 off the high, still up 208 or 6.4% on 4.7 million. That's the biggest volume in 3 months, and the second biggest volume on an up day in a year and a half. So, but the problem is the triple top resistance around 37.5, 3/4 is what the lid could be on the stock. But if it does get through it with 15 days to cover, the next target's 41. And lastly, swing trade zoomies exploded to 24.5, right on my swing trade target. It backed off a couple points, or at least $1.30 to close up a small fraction. So disappointing close, but a nice pop out of the flag. And for me, I'm thinking if it's backs and fills for a few days, it may extend. I'm looking for 28, 29. That's the long of it. Let's take a look at the short of it. Obviously, a lot of short stocks in the box of short list are doing great, particularly biotechs. Look at this. Acadia, down another $1.13 or 5%. This thing's dropped directly in about a month from 37 to 20. And by the way, the support on it is not until you see it down there 17. ATHN finally falling apart, literally, from 133 to under 100 in the last couple weeks. Now, there is some support beneath here. If you look at the lateral, let's look at a weekly chart. You can see that falling apart here could get you down towards 84.5. That's my next target if it doesn't hold it in this range near here where secondary supporting. Perhaps the bottom of the channel, down around 90, but then we're looking at 85. DXCM falling apart to say the least. A couple weeks ago I noticed his flag around the 81 level. It subsequently dropped to 60. And if it doesn't hold here, you can see the dramatic fall that could be ahead for this stock. Honeywell. Well, after breaking a rounding top and now a rising wedge, it's starting to roll over. Watch this one carefully, because with a target of 105 and 101.5, it may very well come all the way down to 95 before the short-term trend is over. Another biotech getting hammered is IPXL, down 4 or 19.5% today. It's already dropped in the last year from 42 down to 16, but today's drop was really ugly. And I'm not seeing any bottom until we get to about 14 and a half. So again, most of these biotechs may have another day or two down, but this is going to be, I think, a really important buying opportunity in some of these. I'll get to a few more later on. LB, well, I've been showing you this since this flag in here where we put a swing on it in 89. It got down to 60, bounced back to 79, and here it is rolling over with a breakaway gap yesterday and looking like an inside day downside. LB could very well see lower levels, particularly I would have to say minor support right where we are, but then we're looking at 59.5 and maybe 54.5. Luxoft, is this finally cracking? Sure looks like it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth wave could be ugly and sharp like this. I'm not sure it breaks like that. There is multiple bottoms here around the 46.5 range. That's my near-term target. We break that, we could fall away rapidly into the mid-30s. MIK, well, I gave you this as this boxer swing short. In this zone, it subsequently continues to fall. Not a lot, about 3 points since we gave it to you, but it looks to me like it's headed towards 20 and maybe less. Skechers still weak and getting weaker. Ever since the breakdown a year ago, stock went nowhere for 6 months and then broke down again. So if this is 1 and 2, this is 3. I'm not sure if we get well, I'm not sure how to count this exactly. Looks like 1 and 2, and this could be 3, but it isn't done yet. My target's 16.5. Splunk. Recently put a swing on it. It went up for a couple more days. got up to resistance, starting to roll over. Nice reversal day yesterday, and a little downside follow through. Today, we need to get this below 57 to really get it going. The near-term target could be around 53 and then 51 or less, ultimately 44, 45. Another biotech that's getting crushed is Taro Farm. It's dropping from 145 to 93 just in the last 3 weeks. Pretty dramatic drop. It's taken out 2 key levels of support and could fall away dramatically, but it's oversold. Texas Roadhouse feels like it's going to fall apart any day now. Top, breakdown, bear, flag. My target, 34, and then 31. Lastly tonight is Vive, looking like a topping type pattern. Breaks the pattern, rising wedge right to the moving averages, pull back. Feels like it's about to roll over, doesn't it? We'll leave it at that. Should this break down under 36.5, 33 and 29 are your targets. It may be worse. Folks, that's the long and short of it. It's not a pretty picture, but hang in there and keep trading with HB and at thetechtrader.com, and we'll do all right. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Good luck.